Hello, it's me. Should we take a look at another cheery story from the UK today? So, all hell breaks loose. It really does. It's all a bit clickbaity. In London Assembly's Assistant Commissioner drops police funding truth. So, yeah, shall we?
Well, there's Chingford Police Station last year.
Chingford.
Stand by. Chingford in Waltham Forest, on average, 3.4 crimes reported per day.
No, I asked you how many visits were there to Chingford Police Station last year?
By whom?
By the members of the public.
I don't have that information.
Oh, that's ridiculous. How can you be looking to close a front desk of a police station? You don't have the information on how many people visited it.
Because what we have information on is actually where there's been a record made for a policing purpose. So in this case, I'm using crime as the main sort of proxy for that.
And you're using crime, Assistant Commissioner, and let me just go back to that 2017 survey that found that crime was only 18% of the reasons that people visited the police station. You have other things, for example, crime updates, lost and found, reporting a missing person, getting an update on a missing...
Back in the day, and I can speak with some authority on this, being an older chap, police stations were in many ways a community hub. You could go there, as was eloquently pointed out just now, for all kinds of reasons. Even if you were in distress, they would sit you down, they would ask you about yourself, who they could contact, and they would make things happen. Yes. How things have changed, eh?
Person, mental health concerns, need for information, complaints. There is a long list of reasons that people visit a police station. And now you can't even tell me how many people visited Chingford Police Station last year, where there is an overwhelmingly elderly demographic compared to the rest of London, and you are asking those people to walk either 3 hours to the next police station or get on a public transport, which will take them over an hour to get to the next police station front counter that's open. And you can't tell me how many visits there were.
No, we don't record by number how many people walked into the front counter.
But yeah, you want to ask.
Police commissioners in the UK today appear on the face of it to me. I mean, I've done some research on some of them. Not all. I don't even know who all of them are, actually. But past and present. They have always been political animals, I think. You don't get that high in the police force without minding your P's and Q's, without making friends, without shaking hands with the right people. So, in some ways, you can understand that as the political scene has changed over the last 20 years here in the UK, and as the social situation with regards to issues like trans, the redefining, or what appears to be the redefining of crime, you can see how police commissioners, being political animals and, being a bit savvy, might push those agendas, if I can call them that certain political groups or individuals would want them to push. But now, the upshot of this all has been that we've moved away from traditional policing into this really odd, nebulous, notional idea of crime and what the police should do about that crime. I'll wager many of you watching this, either now or in the future, God willing, would think that writing something online which expresses dissatisfaction shouldn't require a visit from the police. And what we have here in this police commissioner is a disconnect between him and the group of people throwing questions at him. The police are not the police anymore. They're something else. And I think this is a relatively recent thing. We can't rely on them in the way that we used to. And we're seeing that with reports across the UK that are coming in from various locations. And I think that the police are kind of confused as well, themselves. I don't doubt just like there are good and bad police officers everywhere, there are also police officers who just want to police. They have an idea of what they should be doing. And whatever this has turned into isn't it. And we have this police commissioner who is just moving words around. And I think that his political manoeuvring here, we only use the figures of people who've, where there's been an incident or a crime reported. Well, that's fine. Take those figures. Great, lovely. But you should have a record of everyone that's visited. You don't know how that could become useful in the future. Policing isn't about the heavy hand. Policing is about the light touch. In fact, more so than the heavy hand. Was it George Washington said? Was it George Washington? Speak softly, carry a big stick. Being a police officer is a glorious burden. It is tough. But you have the opportunity to affect people's lives in an incredibly positive way. You have the opportunities presented to you to do so much good on a daily basis. And I bet there's a lot of that good that goes on, but we don't get to see it. What are we left with? Police commissioners. Political animals. And everyone's bloody confused. Shall we listen on?
What is an overwhelmingly elderly population compared to the rest of London to get on a bus for over an hour to go to the next police station or walk for over 3 hours. That is ridiculous, and you can't even tell me how many people visited it. But what we do know is taking that data of 50,000 people that reported a crime last year and looking at the 2017 data of reasons why people went to a police station, we can guess that there is probably over 250,000 people having recorded visits to a police station every year. And yet you can't tell us about those people. You've only chosen to focus on the crimes, but that's over 250,000 of, in some cases, very
just choosing the crimes, it allows the closure of a front desk
now, I want to move on to the
be
police funding settlement.
an easier prospect.
That was the point.
Because it means it looks like the community isn't using it.
Of having an open front counter in every borough wouldn't work. Am I correct? You said that was the point at which you knew there was a gap.
So once we had the funding settlement, we then made a list of the tough choices. Obviously, we wanted and have achieved the overwhelming majority of the new Met for London.
And can you confirm to me when in the police funding settlement was the reason for the gap?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Can you confirm when that came?
So the funding settlement from government was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then we did...
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner. And Deputy Mayor, can you confirm which political party was in government at that time?
I can confirm that the Labour government of last year gave a record number of funding to...
Sorry, you've just heard the Assistant Commissioner confirm that that was the point at which there was a funding gap in the Met for London, and that is the reason why we are closing police stations today. Now, the Mayor told us with a Labour government and the wind in his sails that things would be so much better for Londoners, but we have just had it identified by the Assistant Commissioner that the reason for this gap is because of the Labour government previous to Christmas and their police settlement. Now we have a gap of £7 million, which means that we are closing these police stations. The Conservative group were the only group on this assembly that put forward a budget amendment to put an extra £122 million into the Met. Why did you not accept that?
I think that the Assembly member knows that the budget gap wasn't caused overnight by one government's action, that the Met has been systematically underfunded for over a decade.
Well, funnily enough, when there was a Conservative government, we were happy to... The Met for London plan was made under a Conservative government and it was funded. You have just heard from the Assistant Commissioner, he is sitting next to you, that it occurred under a Labour government. When are you going to take some culpability for your mayor and your government?
Just to be clear, the fact that the Conservatives tabled the motion to put an extra 120 million into these police stations that they are going to close now because the figures make it look as though the communities don't really need them. Just because they tabled that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It doesn't, it could fail. Like, it's all talk, political talk, ultimately. But what we do have, and what we do know, is the centralisation of policing and government taking all the resources out from the local areas that need them has been an utter disaster. Centralisation is so destructive. It beggars belief. We need community-focused initiatives all over the UK again in order to make neighbourhoods feel like neighbourhoods. And again, being an older bloke, this is something I can speak to with some authority. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like and subscribe. Until next time, this is me signing off. Look after yourselves.